What's up, traders? 7-Star Mike here with a new video on how to protect your profits. I get this question all the time. Hey, Mike, I know how to get into a trade, but when do I get out? So there's a concept of stop loss, and this is going to show you how to bump up that stop loss to constantly protect more and more of your profits. Now, this video is done a little bit differently. This was a live trade that I was in, so I updated throughout the day a few points. There's a few different segments that's talking you through what I'm looking at on the charts as it's actually happening. So again, this is bumping up your stop loss to protect profits as you make more and more of them on the trade. And let's go hit the charts and check out Visa. So there's a few lines on here that we're looking at, and here's what I want to show you. First, we have some obvious support down here. We have 1 and 2, so we draw a line there. Then we popped and retraced a little bit, so we have a line here. So the ones I'm looking at here, I was actually in the 192.50 puts, and I got in right on this candle here. So I'm actually in those at 230. Now this is a live trade, so I'm kind of watching this as we go, and I'm going to explain what I'm looking for and why I'm still in this currently. So I'm in the 192.50 puts for $2.30. So we had some support, we popped, we retraced a little bit, and this is where we stopped. Then we popped a little bit, but we couldn't make a higher high over here. So when we dropped back down to this level of support, I'm watching what it's doing here, and it's just consolidating a little bit, and then we get this big red candle down. So when I see that we can't make a higher high over here and this level of support breaks, that was my entry there. So confirmation for the trade is when we have support here, we take this big drop. When we retrace, that's right where we retrace to, and then we continue downwards. It does get rejected here. So technical analysis, we have prior support becoming resistance, and then we dropped. So I've got a line here at 193.13 that I was looking at, and it was consolidating here for a little bit. So I was looking at whether I was going to hold or sell right here. That line comes from a daily chart. If you look at these candles right here, they stopped at that level here. So the most recent low that we have is that 193.13 from this candle here. That's where I drew that line. Let's go back to today's chart. So that's the 193.13. That's where I got that line from. You can see that it hits it and bounces. Then there's a green candle and then 2 red candles. There's no movement. It's just going sideways for a few minutes. So I'm kind of watching to see what it does here. If it pops up, I'm just going to close the position out. Since it dropped again below that level, I'm comfortable holding these, and we just got 2 big red candles currently, so I'm still comfortable holding on to these. The next level down, I think, is about 190, and again, that's from that daily chart. Let's pull that up. So yeah, I've got this level over here. You can see once we break this level here, there's really nothing until down here, and that's at 190.08. So I'm actually going to hold on to this one until 190.08 unless we get a bounce back up to this 193.13 level. So one of the reasons why I also got in here, even though there was a support level just below, when we were watching this area here, there's a lot I was watching on charts that just looked like the market wasn't strong. So this wasn't just Visa that I was watching. I was watching SPY, Facebook, Apple, UVXY was climbing as this was dropping. So everything came together to form a nice little trade there. These are, I was in at 230. They are currently sitting at, let me check over here. So you guys can see, I'll actually pull that screen in. 192.50. So these are 325 by 350 right now. 325 by 350. I'm in at 230. So that's actually a pretty good trade. If you are in a smaller account, that's how you build accounts. If you're in a bigger account, this is one of those things where you can shave some off and change your stop as we keep dropping like this. On the smaller account, anytime I see weakness from here, I'm just going to lock that in and not worry about it. On the bigger account, I'm going to let it ride a little bit longer. Again, I have that 190 area, 190.08 from the daily chart. And again, if you see, once it breaks this level here, there's really nothing until we get down there. So I'm comfortable holding on to these to see if we can get 190. Again, in the smaller account, the goal is to just build the account. So anytime I see any kind of weakness here, like a candle like this one, if we continue to go up on the smaller account, I'm just gonna lock that in and forget about it. The account is building, I'm good. On the bigger account, I'm gonna let those ride around a little bit because I have more room to play with those. Okay guys, I want to update you on this trade right here. You can see we had this nice drop, we came back and got rejected again, then we have this consolidation area. So what I did was draw the shadow box here with the lows and the highs of this consolidation area, and that's where I'm watching to see what I'm going to do with this trade. You can see we came into this box, we couldn't get above it, we came in again, couldn't get above it, and then we made another leg down. So since my entry is way up here, I'm going to change the stop loss to down here now, so I'm protecting those gains. So I'm not willing to risk it going all the way back to my entry once we made this nice leg down. After this consolidation, we dropped a little bit and then we found some support here, so I draw another line there. This level here is another consolidation where that's resistance. So between this support and this resistance, you can see I drew another shadow box where I'm going to make that my new stop loss area. So again, we're in here, it drops, I'm not willing to risk it going all the way back up here, so I'm watching this area. Now that we made another leg down, I'm not willing to let it go back to this area. So each leg down that this trade takes, I'm going to move the stop loss up to protect more of the profits. Okay, so one more update because a lot of people are having trouble figuring out when to close a trade. So I get a lot of DMs that say I got into this trade or I followed this flow or this chart pattern, but when do I get out? So that's why I want to do a few updates on this one. So I'm going to be a little more aggressive with this. We have our zone up here, which we're not letting it get past. Then we have this zone, so we're going to move the stop down here if we were to get up here. What I'm going to do now is actually add a line at the low point of this candle. The reason I'm going to do that, if you zoom in a little bit, you can see the low here is also the high point here. Not quite, it didn't get just up there, but it's just barely under. So we have support here is now acting as resistance. So I'm going to be a little more aggressive with this one, and I'm going to move it down to 191.41. So now if we get above this level, I'm going to go ahead and close that trade out. So again, as we're moving down further and further, I want to protect the profits. This is a put, so the more the underlying drops, the more this is going to profit. Right now, these are currently trading at 425 by 445. Remember, I'm in at 230, so this is a $200 profit per contract. This is the smaller account for me. I only have 2 contracts in it, so that's a nice little gain for the day. 400 bucks, small account. That's building the account balance on this one. So probably the final update, you can see we dropped below this 191.41. We popped back up to it. We're currently sitting right about there. The contracts are currently going for 405 by 415. I'm probably just going to close this one out and call it a trade and not really worry about it anymore. Lock in over $200 per contract. Again, on this one, in small account, only 2 contracts, so $400 gain. Not too bad. Building that smaller account balance, and you can see we're popping above that level here. So I'm just going to go ahead and switch over to TradeStation, close this account or close this trade out. 230 to a little over $4, and again, that's just bumping the stops up as you go along. So as your trade is working out for you, you want to protect more and more of those profits. Common question, I know how to get into a trade, how do I get out? This is an example of how I do that. Again, as the trade works in your favor, just go and protect more and more of those profits. Don't be willing to give those back to the market. You worked hard for them. Keep those on your side of the account, not the market makers. And let's go out and find another trade.